town you never heard of. Hey everybody, welcome to the Common Folk Podcast with Ben, Morgan, and Andy.
Welcome back to Common Folk.
Podcast for the people, by the people.
That is also
Is that pretty good?
live.
It is live. We are live. We're doing it.
We're going to try this again.
Yes,
Yeah, but
we
you
are.
got to say live what? Live on TV, live YouTube?
Live
what's
on
the channel?
Yeah.
on the interwebs.
Yeah,
No,
li-
but what's our channel?
Yeah, Common Folk Podcast on YouTube.
Okay.
We're live on YouTube. That's a
Okay.
Good
Well, in case
distinction.
someone was listening to it on Spotify and they're like, no, I want to see their faces.
If you go to YouTube and you subscribe, then you'll get notifications when we're on too. I just got one.
Don't you do that though? I listen to the radio, and I've said this before, maybe not on air. I've listened to some radio stations before, and I have a picture of what they look like in my head, and I don't want to actually know what they look like. And then when I find
Why's
out,
that?
I'm actually pissed.
because they're not as
They're
good
not,
looking.
No, I just like having a picture of, okay, this girl's like red hair, she's probably pale, like whatever, and then you see someone totally different or no?
They have a face for radio.
Yeah.
You're expecting like a hot chick.
You're like,
You're like, oh,
Dang
I
it.
don't know. You've never done that?
Um,
Like imagined what someone's voice was.
I would always run into that with like cartoons, like the Shredder. I just envisioned this big old mean Japanese dude. I'm like, oh no, it's the father off Family Matters. Like what? Come on, that was just an example.
Well, that's
I'm
like we ran into somebody and they listen and they're like, oh, I thought you'd be a lot taller. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
Right.
Like, you don't know. So,
yeah.
Right.
So, first podcast of the new year.
Yes, it
oh,
is.
yeah, true.
Today we're recording on January 3rd, which I think you're probably going to try to get this out this afternoon. So
Well, it's out
people
now.
hear it. Oh, yeah, because it automatically uploads, right?
Right.
But it doesn't to the, to Apple and Spotify.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
we'll,
so that
we'll
one's
still
gonna be uploaded.
We'll still
Yeah.
get that, but it is automatically loaded into YouTube podcast.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Cool.
that'll be good.
So we got back. How many episodes have we done with you before? Just one or two? We did at least two.
Two that one day.
At least two, yeah. So Garrett from Chasin The Dream TV. What else? How else would you label him?
I always call him like a professional photographer, filmmaker, videographer, and hunter. Like
Specifically focused on the outdoors.
yeah. Well, and he's a professional hunter too. Like I don't think you can find a more professional white-tailed deer hunter out there.
Yeah, is there
So-
like actual pros for hunting?
I would say so. If there is
Okay.
one, it would be him.
But how do
The
you
resident.
become pro status? Do you get like a pro card? Pro hunter?
I think the
Should we
people-
start
The
this?
people decide.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't
okay.
think you get any cards.
Well, I feel like,
I'm the resident non-expert of Nebraska.
okay, there you go.
So I was talking to, you going to try one of them deer sticks?
I am.
You're going to get right up in the mic and chew on it like we were earlier? They're pretty good, right?
They're very
That's Morgan's deer.
good. Nice.
Thank
yeah,
you.
Morgan shot that.
And you grilled it. Smoked it.
Smoked it.
Smoked it.
I like to smoke.
Yeah, they get a good smoky flavor.
It's good.
So yeah, I was telling Andy the other day, we were talking about like, having you in more often and just kind of having like this outdoor conversation, whatever it is, because there's always good ones. And I was like, you know what? I want to ask Garrett a couple of questions. Like, I don't even know what he does. I'm like, this freaking
What
guy.
do you do?
Yeah, I'm like,
He just hunts all day.
Yeah, like all I
wish.
ever see is he's out like chasing deer and checking game cams and planting food plots and like just doing all this outdoor stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
does he have a job like
Right.
that? I guess that is his job.
I guess. Yeah. Fishing in South Dakota, hunting in Idaho. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Unfortunately, the hunting and fishing all the time is not the reality of it anymore, which
No.
is good, but still get to do it a lot, obviously. But no, most of the time I'm sitting behind the computer or do a lot of production shoots because our show is under our production company. So we get all kinds of different businesses. We've done commercials and promo videos, product shots, stuff like that.
So most of your day to day is spent
staring at a computer screen.
doing production
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Obviously fall we focus more on the hunting,
Mm-hmm.
which the other production stuff kind of slows down in the fall and winter, especially. Spring and summer is super busy, but then kind of get to hunt more often in the fall, and obviously that helps out the show too, so be able to manage both of them.
And a lot of the stuff that you're doing the production on, you have taken that footage, right?
Yeah, most of it. Yeah, we do the full shoot and production. This has been by far the busiest year for it, which is good. So hopefully this next year will double that.
Yeah.
And is most of it specifically for Chasin The Dream TV?
No, most of it is not.
Okay.
So a lot of different brands, and honestly most of the production work is outside of the outdoor industry, local stuff, and then kind of just wherever I get to go for freelance stuff. Film the last 4 years for Realtree when they come to Nebraska, just a couple hours from home for me, so it works out pretty good to go out there. Part of the Buckmasters team, so I just did a little over a month ago, went to South Dakota and filmed a Buckmasters and Silencer Central rifle deer hunt out there with one of my buddies that works at Silencer Central. So get to do freelance stuff that way, and basically anybody that reaches out for production work or anything like that. Iowa Land Company has kept me really busy the past year. They kind of works out pretty good because it's 5+ hours for me, depending on what county they're selling land in, but they just go out and shoot the drone footage and then send it all over to me.
Gotcha.
And I'll put together a full property overview, all the details of it, and send that back to them. And then a little less than a month ago, I went down there and filmed some on their bigger tracks. This last one was a 6-track auction, live auction, so I went down and filmed that, and then we do a auction recap video that they put on their YouTube. So as soon as they get a property, they go out and shoot it, send me the stuff, and then I turn the video over as soon as possible so they can post it on their website and YouTube for people to see. And I think they've got the right business model for it because they're growing very quickly. I think they're for sure not even 10 years in. I want to say 6 years into it probably, and they're growing big time every year.
Nice.
Yeah, it's cool. So is the Chasin The Dream TV thing is obviously what I know of you the most. How much of that is going on? How you're putting out consistent episodes, or how can people find that, and what would they expect if they were looking for it?
Yeah, just honestly the best, if you're in state, you can see it every weekend on News Channel Nebraska, which Andy works full time for, so it kind of works out perfect. I guess I don't even know our time slots. I think it's Saturday and Sunday mornings. And then we'll get a lot of bonus plays throughout the week. I think they still do a lot of bonus plays when they need filler spots when there's not sports or anything, which Andy also broadcasts for all that stuff. So he's plenty busy with that. But no, the TV side of it works really good if you're in state. I think more of our target audience age is YouTube. And we're able to put a lot more stuff on YouTube than the TV because it's not cut for a TV length episode. Because a lot of times with those, we've got to leave stuff out or stretch the content with interviews and stuff like that to make full TV length. So I try to shift more people towards YouTube, honestly, just because we've got more stuff available to view on there.
On YouTube, what is it what's it called specifically?
Chasin The Dream TV. And there's no G, so it's CHASIN with an apostrophe. Gotta think for a second on how to spell a basic word.
No, that's it. And that's all due to trademark when we started this thing in 2017. It's tough to find a name.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. So
what? So how often are you putting content on that YouTube page?
Not as much as I'd like, just because the regular production work takes up so much time. So that's kind of a little bit of a setback of it. It'd be nice to be able to focus on one or the other, but the production work on the side is what makes the most money, which is how I pay keep my bills paid and stuff like that. Right. But I don't know, it's the outdoor stuff, especially nowadays, is really tough to grow because there's so many other people doing it. But I think if you do it in a well told story, well shot way, then you get the right eyes on it, then it can grow quick. So that's kind of the goal. Not so much quantity for us as quality. I've been in love with the storytelling aspect of it since I was young, watching other TV shows and films and stuff like that. So we don't, I mean, a episode a week on YouTube would be awesome. It's just not really attainable to keep the quality. And then, I mean, sometimes it's a full month of not really doing anything outdoors besides checking trail cameras or shed hunting. And we film that stuff too, but just hard to do both of them or focus on just one. Cause I mean, we could focus on the production side of it and get more clients for that and be busier throughout the year, but obviously don't want to let the show stuff go because that's where our love for it is. So try to find a way to balance both of them. And
that's hard.
Well, and it's a very engaged audience on News Channel Nebraska.
Yeah.
Like I hear all the time, like, you guys need new episodes, or hey, that buck that Garrett, blah, blah, you know, and they're asking me all these questions, you know, and it's just one of those things where it's been on long enough to where people recognize us, recognize you especially, and they feel like they're part of it because a lot of them they've seen more than once, and that's as far as YouTube on News Channel Nebraska goes, it's an older demographic, and it's probably more the same, if not more so, for the TV side of things. So you are getting a lot of 55, 60, 65-year-olds that used to hunt that don't hunt as much anymore. You know, that's a lot of our typical viewer, and we run into those guys at the trade shows and expos all the time.
Really?
Yeah, and we've had a lot of people older age that don't get to do it as much anymore. That they've told us they kind of live through our stories, and I don't know, that makes me feel good when people watch one of the episodes and say that we put it together in a way that they feel like they're there and just good storytelling. And at Christmas, my grandma actually told me that some lady that she goes to church with that's 94 watches our show every weekend.
Yeah,
Cool.
so they probably are sick if it's reruns. They want
they want more
new stuff.
We've got enough now that we can rotate through stuff, but having more would definitely be nice. Just trying to make
when
that
it's
work
on
with the
TV on New Channel Nebraska. Can you drop and say that it's not YouTube too? Like, can you tell people to go?
Sure. Yeah.
Do you? I didn't know if
did.
like they know that.
Yeah, I did
I was just
with
thinking,
with our last episode, which was my 2023 bow buck. I did 2 different cuts of it, one for YouTube, one for TV. And I think the TV one, I said if you want to check out our other stuff, because there's a lot that we have on YouTube that's not on TV. So
that's good.
Yeah, I shouted out the YouTube and just told people where they could find it. Put up a actual screen grab of our YouTube channel and showed where people could go. And then I think I did that on the YouTube episode too.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm also
Said that you could go
imagining like the 94-year-old lady that's probably not going to jump on the computer and Google, your channel. So.
And it's not a bad thing that it's kind of, there's a lot of overlap, but it's 2 different audiences.
Yeah, for
okay.
sure.
Right.
And that's, I think that's a good thing
that's
overall.
not a bad thing. Yeah. I agree.
And it's set up on an older type of what's known as like a barter contract. So we give NCN, News Channel Nebraska, content, and then in return they get to run commercials throughout our content. So out of a whole block, a half an hour block every Saturday and Sunday morning, they get, I want to say 4 minutes or 3.5 minutes of commercial time that they choose what plays in the middle of our episodes, or throughout the episodes.
And then we get up to another 4 to 6. We try to shoot for 20 to 22 minutes for the full episode, and then cut it 5 to 5.5 minute segments when I export it and send it to News Channel Nebraska, and then stuff gets put in there, and that works really well for us on the TV side of it, because then we can go out and get our own sponsors and play their commercial during our time slot. So they're able to advertise in state where it matters, rather like most of the in-state people, if they want to sponsor us or work with us and have advertisements that only make sense for them on News Channel Nebraska with their target audience versus the YouTube. And then there's other people that hopefully down the road we get some bigger ones that'll advertise with us on YouTube that doesn't matter as much on in-state because it's not in-state, but
no, but it works really well. Like every time we're at an expo, they're asking about Pontini boats. So, no, it is really good in that regard, and we probably should do more of that.
Yeah,
We
for
should
sure.
probably pursue that a little bit more.
That's the goal for the expo in a few weeks.
There we go.
Did you guys ever produce that episode where we took the kids pheasant hunting?
That'll be this winter, yep.
It's going up this
So
winter.
I think the next one I'm going to do is rifle deer from last year. So we've got Ashley's buck, which we weren't with her for that one. We were over the hill, but got the recovery and stuff, so we'll throw that in there. And then we did a doe double in like 2 minutes with the same gun, which was pretty awesome. And then Carson's rifle buck last year at the ranch, and then my Alabama deer last year. So that'll be the next
That's
one.
all
And
the stuff you're putting together?
Yep, I think the one after that, I'll either do that pheasant one. I think we talked about that. 3.
Yeah, we probably need to splice a few together.
Yeah, 'cause
and that'll
there's-
help with putting a couple different
Yeah.
stories together too.
And there was a couple of different pheasant hunts I think you recorded, right?
Yeah,
'Cause you guys went this
we did with
fall.
you and Joel.
Yep. I think that
up
was
at Triple T.
Yep.
And then we did the day. I think it was before or after that with you and Ashley and Kylo.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have those two, and then the one box from this year. So
Yeah.
last year we did
Oh,
the big like I don't know what you want to call that, documentary style video on the one box, and that was a full episode. And then we went this year as a team, and it was us three, Adam and Carson.
Yeah. And
So
our,
then
our late edition was the best gun by far.
Yeah.
He was
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, he ended up
that
it was like, let that kid shoot. If we got one shell left, let him shoot.
yeah, that was pretty fun. But
What did he shoot? Did he shoot 24 or 25 with Clay?
24.
Yeah.
He, yeah.
Missed the first one.
The Calcutta
it was the
shooting
first one,
clay.
yeah.
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 He missed the first one, then he
Yeah.
shot the rest.
Yeah, I had to get a little bit of coaching from Ben and or Adam, I think, on the clays, and ended up doing pretty good at the other end half of it. But
Yeah, it
not
was
as-
fun.
Not as much of a gun guy anymore, so
We need
rusty.
We need to get one of those guys up here and talk about one box
Yeah.
and recap that, because that was a fun time.
Yeah, especially our guides. You
Yeah,
know,
right.
Both of those dudes, Jack, and
Yeah.
Jack, Jake, and another
Yeah,
Jack.
Yeah. I bet any of those dudes would be good
Yeah.
if they'd make the trip over and come hang
Yeah.
out.
And that one box episode, that's been on YouTube, and that's been one of our better performing ones over the last couple of seasons.
Yep.
But it does a great job of laying out the story of what it was created for. I think, was this year the 64th or 65th?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
something
Annual?
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even COVID
I think-
didn't shut it down. They still did it.
I think this year
2020.
was that 2 years ago? 2 years ago we did the full documentary one, or
Yeah, that was 2 or maybe even 3.
2022 we did that one, and then
Yeah.
released the episode this last winter.
Mhm.
So yeah, we missed 1 year, and then
Yeah.
so I think it might have been the 65th this year.
I think it was 65th, which is pretty impressive when you think about
That's
an
crazy.
annual
Yeah.
event. And
So-
there's so many moving parts.
Oh yeah.
There's
there
some
is,
of the
yeah.
guys that have been there for every single year of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Yeah, we got him shooting a pheasant on that episode. That was
two
pretty
years
cool.
ago we did. I think that's how we ended it, was with Louis killing a bird.
That's pretty cool. So obviously you guys have some focus on the brand and the show. You've got coming up in a couple of weeks this expo in Omaha. You had mentioned something about that earlier. That's what do they call it?
Nebraska Deer and Game Expo.
Deer and Game,
in Lincoln.
Oh, Lincoln.
Yep.
Okay. So you guys are going to go there and set up a booth specifically for Chasin the Dream?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we share a booth with Hammer Calls. Big booth, so it works pretty good for us because we do waterfowl episodes with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just share the big booth space there, and
I love it because they're on those freaking goose calls and
Yeah.
duck calls, and it attracts attention.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people get annoyed, like our neighbors. I'm like, I think it's great.
They're
you know?
just like calling at the expo.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh!
people
Stop.
can come and try calls too because they've got all the like sanitizing wipes and stuff like that, so anybody can pick up a call and see how it sounds. And I think they got a lot of sales last year.
I know they did, and I feel it's like a cheat code because they're like calling people in
Yeah.
with the goose calls. They're awesome dudes, and that's another great video where you basically followed them all the way from North Dakota all the way down to Texas or Oklahoma.
Yeah, we did
that season.
the Hammer Calls story of how they started too, and then I got to go up to North Dakota for the early season goose hunt with them, and then that December we went down to Oklahoma with a couple other buddies, and one of them actually moved up here to Pierce, so
Yeah.
that's
So,
pretty sweet.
yeah, just a group of guys that just decided to take their grandpa's wood lay and start making duck calls one
Wow.
day. Mm-hmm. Now it's turned into this.
That's pretty cool.
I'll be out with Kenley tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yep.
All right.
So you guys, with that deal, you'll like have some merch. You'll be promoting the TV show and things like that. If folks haven't put it together, we help you guys handle the merchandising. So if you go to the Stock and Rod website, stockandrod.com, you'll see Chasin' the Dream. You can look through all the hats and shirts and all the cool gear. You guys got a cool logo. Who designed that?
Jesse Anderson out of Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And it's simple. It's got a neat look.
Yep. That was kind of we had an original one. Who put that together?
The T-shirt shop in Lynch.
Okay. And that was pretty good. I think we still have a few. We still have the logo, obviously, and have a few hats. I don't know if we have any more T-shirts, but it's kind of like the retro logo after only 4 years or so.
We already got a retro logo.
But no,
Throwback.
I think the new one, that was kind of the goal with it, is just be a little cleaner and more modern looking.
Yep.
I like it a lot.
And the new hats we're working on are going to be cool. You guys got some really cool patch hats that you had custom done that are neat. So yeah, folks, I mean, can check out Chasin' the Dream at all kinds of different places. You guys have the stuff posted on social media as well? Or?
Yep. We've got Chasin' the Dream TV on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I don't think we're on Twitter or X.
You started a Twitter account.
Started one, but
yeah,
I don't know how any of that works, and I'm never on there. So
Twitter's gone through a lot. It's X now. It's gone through a lot over the last couple of years with Elon Musk turning it upside down and putting its open source out there. It's pretty wild.
Right.
But getting back to the trade show and the expo, if we really wanted to like promote and get out, we would get on that circuit and we would go to Michigan. We would go to shows in South Carolina. The one here in Lincoln, it's really just an opportunity for us to like meet and greet, fans and people that watch the show. And I mean, last year we ran into that dude. I bet he stayed at our booth for about an hour and a half talking about every single deer that you have ever documented. I mean, and it's really cool to meet these people and that they get into it like that.
Yeah.
And even, there's a big old group of high school kids every day that would say, like, it's you guys. Yep. All right.
Every year's getting a lot better. Last year, that last year was definitely our best year. We sold the most merch and talked to the most people for sure. And I mean, the amount of friendships and stuff that have come out of it. I mean, just like the guys at the Winnebago. That was all from the expo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you met his brother. We did a show with him.
Yep.
LaPointe. Kenny is the outdoors. What did you call him?
Kenny
conservation officer.
Yep, he works for the Game and Parks at the Winnebago Reservation, and then you guys had Aaron on, right?
Yeah,
we got to meet Kenny when we went up there.
Yep, he was there.
Yeah, Kenny's awesome. We got to spend a few days up there this fall. One of my buddies that works for Deer Society was there with a res tag, so I came and kind of helped him hunt a little bit and figure out the big timber, and it's a blast being up there with those guys. Well,
and then this year, the founder of I don't know what you would call him, the head guy of the expo reached out and asked if we would put on a seminar.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And I said, yes, we're going to do it. And he wanted us to talk about self-filming hunts and, best practices for if you want to try and do that, how do you go about it? But there's an art to it, and I think you've pretty much mastered it.
You've got me super nervous about it now.
No, we'll be fine.
Oh, so you haven't gotten your speech yet together?
No, I don't.
Presentation?
I have no idea. I'd rather just do like more of a Q&A thing because I'm not good with
So maybe Andy needs to be helpful.
He's definitely going to help.
We'll put it together, but I think that would get I love that idea, and I talked to Chris about that too. I'm like, well, we're going to set aside a lot of time for Q&A, which also ensures that the audience gets the most out of it because they're asking the questions that they specifically want. And whatever they've conjured up or think of, you've had an experience with it.
Probably at this point, over 10 years of self-filming hunts. So.
Your first buck, I think it would have been in 2018 that you got with the bow on our ranch.
Yep.
I think you did everything wrong that you possibly could have.
100%.
That's we got those experiences to draw from.
That's why I call him the miracle buck. There's no reason that should have worked out.
So, no, I think it's gonna be very interesting, and for a lot of youngsters out there that want to be YouTubers or want to get into broadcasting or whatever, it'll be insightful, but also very eye-opening. Like, if you want to do that, you know, it looks cool, and there's music in the background,
Right,
you know,
right, yeah.
adding to the drama. No, there's a lot that goes in behind it.
The stuff we've been talking about so far. I mean, just even trying to find time to put it together is almost impossible.
The full story episodes on YouTube. I mean, most of them take a week to 2 weeks of like full days sitting there and putting it together, and then watching sections of it over and making tweaks and stuff like that. And then even well after I export them, I watch them again. I'm like, oh, I wish I would have done that different. But yeah, there's a ton of time that goes into production. Nobody sees that side of it.
Yeah, pretty cool. So yeah, if there's anybody who's local that can make it to Lincoln, check it out. What's the date on it?
I think it's 17th through 19th.
17th through 19th. Friday is like a half a day, 3/4 a day. Saturday's all day, and then Sunday's another half day.
Yeah, 17th, 18th, 19th.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's right around the corner.
Come down and see the Chasin The Dream guys.
Yeah, we're the big booth in the far corner.
Listen for the
Listen
duck
for
calls.
the duck calls.
Yeah, if you hear the duck and goose calls, you'll find us.
And they've started where they'll bring in a little bit of a portion of their workshop, these hammer call guys, and so they'll be filing away on the reeds.
Oh, cool.
Which is really interesting. You can kind of watch them
Yeah.
in action doing that.
Yeah, they'll work with the people that test out calls, and if they want to buy one, then at that point because everybody's mouth shape is different, so it affects the call sound. So then they'll sit there and file on the reeds and tune the call for them while they're there.
Nice.
And that's just part of what the biggest thing for me that we've gotten out of this are these type of relationships and opportunities to like go and hunt with those type of guys. I won't even touch my goose call when I'm with them because they do a medley, you know, these 3 or 4 guys, and it sounds so good. I'm like, I just don't want to screw this up. I get kind of nervous in the pit with those guys.
Sure.
But then also telling the youth stories, like with Joel, that one coming up, I think that's going to be really good. And kind of my favorite one was when we'd take those kids fishing, you know, on the little pontoon boats, you know, Kids and Dreams Foundation.
Yep.
So, you know, it looks like it doesn't take much. And if you didn't want to add all the hoopla that we do, it doesn't. You just got to get out and do it.
Right.
You know, but like we were talking about this 94-year-old lady, she doesn't have the wherewithal or capabilities of taking a group of kids out fishing, you know. So it's pretty cool to get this feedback.
Yeah.
But then also just doing it.
Yep.
You know, that's probably where I get the most out of it.
Right.
And we should have a super exciting pheasant one for next year with at Tacoma.
Oh yeah.
Pheasant Bonanza.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Went and filmed a weekend there with veterans and all the Bobcat equipment guys. Came down and did a episode there with Beyond the Hunt TV. And they're out of Nebraska too, but they're huge. I think it's 19th year they're going on.
Well,
yeah, they're on Outdoor Channel.
Yeah.
So a little bigger.
Filmed a couple things with them, and then while we were there at Pheasant Bonanza, it's an incredible place. But they asked me they'd love to do a in-state show for the veterans hunt. So I think we're going to be doing that this next fall. It'll be pretty cool.
Yeah. Good things coming, sounds like.
Yeah.
While we had Garrett here, we wanted to tackle a couple, or at least one, outdoor topic as well. Did you settle on anything you wanted to go into or not? We just discussed a couple of things, but to me, one of the most interesting is the predator control.
Oh, yeah.
And like what's going on with that. We're experiencing a little bit of that here, and I feel like I hear so much about it nowadays.
Well, Garrett loves coyotes. He's a big fan.
One of my favorites.
I feel like I just see people left and right killing coyotes, just over and over and over,
which is good.
I don't remember seeing that much of it. Like,
I don't
do you
either.
think the population of them is blowing up? Or
Oh yeah, the population of them's higher than it's ever been. Most of that's just because the fur trade kind of crashed. Most of the companies that were buying real furs went to like fake synthetic fur, and a big part of that was the PETA movement stuff. So now most of the fur stuff you see on coats or whatever is just synthetic crap from China. So that's had the biggest decrease of predator hunting, because
just
like
taking the motivation out from
because
people.
it costs so much to. I mean, you can still make a small amount of money on it if you have pretty much every day to run a trap line, or even if you just go out for a night and shoot coyotes, you can skin them and sell them for a little more money than they used to buy on the carcass. But like even when I was in high school 10 to 14 years ago, we'd make a ton of money every fall and winter just coyote hunting and coon hunting because they'd buy, I mean, we sold the best coons for $25-$30 at the time, $40+ for coyotes, and now most of them won't even buy a raccoon.
You really got $30 a fur?
Oh, yeah.
So I'd have been about 7 or 8 years before you. Most I ever got for a raccoon was $17.
Yeah.
I didn't trap a lot, but
they said at that time, because we talked to the fur buyers, and they said the reason that stuff was going for such high price there is the Canadian market, and then the Canadian market attaches to the Russian market. So the cold winters that they've got there, then there's a higher demand, but now that's not near what it was. So it's hurt quite a bit.
What's the real story? Like, what's the problem with all these dogs?
Basically, just I think the biggest reason is the fur trade.
But what I'm saying is, why do we want to control them? Like, why do we want to shoot them? Yeah, like why are so many people shooting them? Like, why are they so bad?
Deer, turkey populations, pretty much every other population animal that coyotes predate on, they're terrible on that. I mean, a turkey poult is easy pickings for a coyote, and then you've got raccoons, which are probably the biggest nest raider for turkeys out there. And then the coyotes on the deer population is incredibly hard. It's a fawn.
So a coyote will get a deer.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. A fawn is like one of the easiest big meals for coyotes to kill. And when Bo and I were out at the ranch 2 weeks ago putting up feeders, we found 2 fawns fresh that had been killed in the last week by coyotes. And they'll take down a full-grown deer. When Andy and I were sitting.
Yeah, they were buffaloing that big old buck.
Yeah, Andy and I were sitting.
Jeez.
I think the second morning of rifle this year, the best 4-year-old on the entire ranch, we were watching him with the doe up on our neighbor's hillside, and it's pretty much wide open out there. So we were on Andy's west border, and then the farthest south pasture is 3/4 of a mile from there. And this big coyote, the deer, we were just watching the buck and his doe locked down in this little buckbrush patch, and then they both stood up, and giant coyote came over the hill, and I didn't think a whole lot of it because, I mean, deer, you could have 15 deer in a food plot and a coyote will walk right through them and they just stand there and stomp at it. But that's probably the most aggressive single coyote I've ever seen because he locked onto the deer and we watched him chase this buck all the way to the very south pasture, and he caught up to him a few times and bit him on the back of the legs, and I was pretty worried that he was actually going to take him down because he's so run down from the rut at that point, and you could tell the doe was way ahead of him and he just didn't have much gas left.
And the coyote's like the ultimate survivor. Like all these things, it can get top speeds of 40 miles an hour. It can run at 20 miles an hour for a very long time. So it can keep up with something like a deer for a long time. And just run it into the ground.
Yeah, because that's usually how coyotes pack kill, because most of the time they hunt in a pack and they'll easily take down a full-grown deer, but it usually takes a lot of them to do it, and they'll run them because the deer doesn't have that much stamina, but a coyote does, and especially if they're hunting in a pack, some will drop off and some will pick up and just kind of wear the deer down and get it cornered, and then they just spin circles around them and go for the hind legs and take them down that way.
So do you think, like, I feel like I've heard a lot of people the last few years bitching about deer populations in Nebraska, and everyone automatically goes to like the wasting disease, or this must be going on, or the tongue thing, or whatever.
Blue tongue.
But do you think really maybe more of it has to do with the growing coyote populations? I
would put more of it on the coyote populations than EHD or any other effects like that, because the harvest results for deer, I mean, we're down. I just listened to a podcast from Game and Parks on the way down here this morning. They just released about the stats from this year's rifle season. And we actually had a 2% increase in success rate from last year, but the overall deer population is 25+% down from 5 years ago. And in some areas like ours, I think it's way more than that, because it's definitely localized. And EHD, when that hits, it's usually a localized area like southeast Nebraska and northeast Nebraska got smoked this year. And luckily, we've kind of stayed away from it, but there's lower deer numbers up there anyway, just because there's way less ag and way less cover. So it can't hold as many deer, but we're definitely down to, and a big reason for that this year, this is the worst year we've ever had, but we got wiped out during rifle in 2023. So had way less deer to begin with, but then when you've got drought years, we're on, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24 of D3, D4 drought.
Yeah.
then the fawn production is way lower there as well, and it's just harder. When you got a low fawn production and increasing coyote populations, it's a lot harder to build the deer herd back, and then when you're still selling the same amount of tags and the success rate's the same, it's not a good recipe.
So what? Oh, go ahead, Andy.
Well, I was going to say, I hear the back and forth, and whether it's the Nebraska Game and Parks, you know, something out of like the Kansas State extension, they're very leery to say that the populations of coyotes are detrimental to any. In fact, they'll kind of say it's like the wolves in Yellowstone. It's helping the ecosystems, but you're not buying into that at all.
No, it would help if we had an overpopulation of deer and a high population of coyotes. It'd be more balanced, but with such a low population of deer and such a high population of coyotes, it's not going in a good direction.
Well,
and then you add in the
droughts,
the decreased fawn production. They don't have as much to hide in. It's harder because usually a doe will have 2 fawns, but if it's a drought year, I mean, even if one of them survives, they don't have near as much of a chance with short pastures because of the drought, nowhere to hide. And I mean, a fawn is just the easiest thing for a coyote to kill, even easier than a rabbit.
So if someone couldn't take one out, like shoot one, you can trap them?
Yeah.
So is that more practical? I mean, if we're like trying to talk to an audience and be like, hey, this is what you need to do, what does a trap cost? Like $50? Like
less than that, usually.
Okay.
Footholds.
Aren't they lethal traps though?
No,
But that's what I was gonna
I
say.
mean, you can run snares or foothold traps.
So could another animal get in that
Yeah.
and die?
Yeah.
Like a deer could literally just walk through it too.
So it's just, I mean, you could.
I don't even know what it looks like.
You could stick your
so-
hand in the trap. It's got like
it's
a little,
the claw
yeah,
thingies?
little trigger plate. A lot of them don't even have claws for coyote-sized ones. Just these metal half circles that lay out with a pressure plate in the center. I mean, you could stick your hand in it and not break a finger, but it basically just pinches right above the ankle on them and keeps them pinned there. But like most of the time, if a deer steps in it, they'll be able to pull their hoof out.
Okay. So then, I mean, is that what
They're live.
people need to do? Is just start buying a bunch of traps? Is that what we need to do out here?
No, because I mean,
like-
what are you gonna do with the animal?
Well, then
Yeah,
you got to go
with-
find them and shoot them. If they're trapped, then you take them out.
Well, yeah, if you want to kill it, sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and
you
you
ain't
can,
letting it
if you can
go.
find, I mean, you can still sell them. You can try to sell them. Otherwise, you'd basically just have to make a dead pile of them somewhere. But of what they don't buy. But trapping between trapping or calling them in and shooting them, you kind of just have to decide how much time you have. Because if you're trapping, you've got to go check those traps every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm not 100% sure what the Nebraska trapping laws are. Some are every day, some are every other day.
Okay. So if you didn't, then what?
Then whatever you catch in there dies in the trap, which
Well, perfect. You're
not,
wanting it to die
Well,
anyways.
you don't want to
Yeah,
die
no.
of starvation.
No,
yeah,
if
but
it's-
it's not a it's not a real humane.
Oh, okay.
terrible,
Sorry.
terrible death. And
Not
if
perfect.
if you catch something that you don't want to kill and you don't go
You're
check
not
the
checking
trap,
it.
yeah,
Okay,
then
I got
it's
it.
not good. And they're live traps. So you can, I mean, if you catch a bobcat out of season, you can release it.
I see.
Man, this
Okay.
says, I was just looking up some population numbers, and this one thing says a typical adult coyote with a den full of pups to feed will kill about 20 fawns a year.
Oh my gosh.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Well,
Yeah.
no wonder we're not seeing many deer out here. The stupid coyotes.
But you're seeing a lot of coyotes, yeah.
Yeah.
There's they've got coyote population by state, and I was trying to see if I could find trends. Like if they say it's definitely growing, but I can't find the numbers of like how many per year or percentages or whatever. But they list by state, and Nebraska has a little over 77,000 estimated coyotes, and that puts us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Puts us in 12th place in the country.
And whatever those estimates show, you could probably add another 25 to 50% on top of that.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Just because they're way behind.
Yeah,
On the
and there's no
estimation. Like, how do you-
there's no
Yeah.
good way to estimate
That's what I
that
was
really.
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just was trying to think of what would be the solution. I mean, and what animal could take a coyote out?
Another coyote or a mountain lion. That's about it.
Oh, and we don't have mountain lions.
We do.
We do.
Couple.
Okay,
There's-
but not like
But nothing
here.
like the amount of coyotes.
No, way more
So-
coyotes for sure.
So
Well,
yeah.
And there's also been a lot of studies done where, I mean, they're just, like I said, the ultimate survivor. when any adversity strikes, their populations grow. So like if they get overhunted or if this or that happens, they'll automatically have bigger litters and start breeding earlier. So I think you had that coupled with a couple other external factors, being hunted, all these things, being trapped. And then the deer populations were pretty good there, 3 or 4 years ago. So all these things came about all at the same time.
Yeah,
and I think that's why you're seeing a huge
It was a big
influx.
storm all at once because, I mean, a lot of the country, and especially Nebraska, got hit really hard in 2012 with EHD. And I would like to see the numbers back to pre-EHD for deer, but honestly, it was probably too many deer. So, I mean, that's just kind of nature's way of taking care of it. We got a huge EHD wipeout, and then at about the same time as when the fur market stuff crashed. So you got way less deer and then people not hunting coyotes. So we haven't come close to even being halfway recovered from the 2012 EHD outbreak.
With coyotes, is there like what are the rules around them?
I just was thinking that. Can we make that a season? And we all
Pretty
go after
much, yeah.
coyotes?
They're predators. You can shoot them whenever.
Anytime.
But
Yeah.
anytime,
Yeah.
you don't need a tag.
If you're going to sell them, you have to have a fur bearer's permit.
But I'm saying I'm just trying to think.
But you can legally go out and hunt coyotes, and you don't have to report it. There's no limit.
They should make a game of it.
There's a lot of coyote calling
Oh.
contests. Yeah.
Okay,
Like,
I'm behind the curve here.
different-
I'm just trying to think of how we take these suckers
yeah,
out.
different towns and groups will have coyote calling competitions.
Yeah,
where
like the winner gets.
Yeah, there's some big money coyote
Okay.
tournaments. Yeah.
All right.
Most of the time, I mean, my brother and his buddies do it. A few competitions.
How many do they get a night?
Just depends. I mean, I had Jake and Kyle and a couple of our other buddies went out like 3 nights ago and they killed 17 coyotes and 1 bobcat.
Stop.
And
That seems like a lot.
Jake, Kyle, and I went to the ranch a couple weeks ago and we killed 6 coyotes and 1 bobcat. Should have had another probably 4 or 5 coyotes if they would have come a little bit closer or had a shot at them, and then 1 more bobcat. But
No one eats those.
No. I mean, I think bobcats you could probably try it, but
no one
coyotes,
talks about doing that.
I don't think.
Would you eat a coyote?
I mean, it's how
I'm just wondering.
how different do
It
you
seems
think?
a little odd.
How
but-
different do you think a coyote is from, your average domestic dog?
Not much at all.
Oh, it's not? They're just more
Pretty much
vicious?
the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's just wild. I mean, dogs came from coyotes and wolves. So,
Yeah, and it's just that
Okay.
they're wild, and that's
Yeah.
how they've been raised, and they've got those instincts.
yeah, I don't think I would touch a coyote or a coon, but
Well, that and
bobcats. I think you could eat. You can eat mountain lions.
Yeah.
Mountain lion meat's really good.
Yeah, people like mountain lion.
Really?
Yeah.
Looks and tastes just like pork. We had
Oh, I thought you were
It's
going
one
to say
of-
chicken.
It's one of Ashley's favorite.
no more pork. 'cause
I'd
we
say
had,
more pork.
Yeah, we had
Oh.
Scott's
Yep.
Scott's mountain lion.
That's
a few years
strange.
ago.
I would have never expected
And-
pork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very bright
Weird.
red. Yeah.
Looks
yeah.
exactly the same as pork.
Huh.
Yeah, and Ashley had a friend share some mountain lion, and she thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it.
I would just think there'd be like a bunch of gross diseases in a coyote and
Coyotes
stuff.
probably.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
My buddy Nick shot one out at his farm. They're in like central Nebraska, Franklin area, and they shot a couple this past week. And he sent a picture of one of them, and it looks like, I mean, just a mangy.
Yeah.
Like it looks like those dogs on what was that one TV show we used to watch, Stranger Things. It looks like those dogs on Stranger Things.
Oh God,
Yeah.
those are like
Like it just looked
Aliens.
like
Yeah.
black skin, like
Yeah.
just.
mangy coyotes are one of the most disgusting
Oh, it was-
creatures you'll ever see.
I want to
Sick.
see that picture. I didn't see that.
And
Ew,
that's
gross.
showing
Ew.
you the first stages of overpopulation in a lot of cases. Not
Yeah.
all the time, but okay, there's too many coyotes for the resources available. This is what you end up with.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say.
That
on some of
and
it.
mild winters keeps if you get a really harsh cold winter where it freezes it kind of helps it. But yeah, if you've got a den full of coyotes and they got mange, you kill all of them, another coyote moves into that den, then they've all got mange.
Oh.
So there's years where mange is really bad, but I mean I've seen a couple of them around home where we've had really bad mange years, but not a good
Okay.
way to go. But as far as population control, I think they could use it again.
Yeah.
On a different side, could Nebraska Game and Parks like make deer season shorter since we're like less like population is? I mean,
Certain-
do they ever
Certain
change that?
seasons, not really. They kind of limit tag numbers.
Okay,
I
that's how
personally would
they
love
do
to
it.
see some season changes, but
Oh, really?
yeah, I
So
don't.
that's up for debate.
Yeah, like this year we've got these first 2 weeks of January as late doe season, which I think is a terrible idea with the doe or deer numbers we have in general, and then not super often, but fairly often, like you've got shed bucks. People pick out the biggest doe in the field, and that's actually a shed buck, and then they shoot a buck. And I don't think that's a good plan. And then all these does have been bred with as low a population as we have. I'd like to see the January doe season go away, and
because if you shoot a doe, chances are if you shoot a doe in January, she's pregnant.
yeah.
But is that a
pretty-
money grab then for Nebraska?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, the
like because the tag
sales. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So that's kind of what they're worried about.
Yeah, tag sales, and their number one goal is population numbers.
I know, but if it's low, then that's not their goal.
I don't think they mind it being low.
I see.
By what it sounds like, this
Okay.
is more the population they'd like
They
to
would
see
rather-
continue,
oh.
which
Okay.
a lot of that is due to farming and insurance companies. But
Okay.
Is that a bigger? Yeah, because there's all these you call them urban legends behind it all. What's really driving it? And I hear it's car insurance, auto insurance, hate paying out all these deer collisions.
yeah.
Then I hear no, it's the ag guys, the crop insurance, deer eating too much of a cornfield. It's probably a little bit of all of it.
yeah, for sure.
So and these conglomerates, they don't give a hoot about deer populations.
Right.
They're tired of paying, premiums for lost crop.
Yeah, and they can. I don't know if this is exactly how it goes down, but I imagine from what I hear from other states and even potentially Nebraska, those insurance companies can pay the state to increase tag numbers, and what they pay the state to increase tag numbers is less than what they'd have to pay for insurance.
Oh,
So
What?
yeah, there's a lot of people that talk about that, and I don't think that's a good way to go about it. I don't think an insurance company or even state legislature should have any say in the
Agree.
wildlife.
I agree.
Well, that Ernie Chambers would disagree with you.
Yeah.
Him and his mountain lion sanctions are what he's trying to get.
That
Put through.
early landowner rifle season was actually advised against by Nebraska Game and Parks, and it was
Yeah.
forced by state legislature.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what frustrates me, and that's why I bring up Ernie Chambers, longtime member of Nebraska's House. But they'll do all these studies, they'll come back with the information and be like, well, we're not going to go by that because that's not what all state auto insurance is telling us to do. And that's where the revenue is coming from. Where I think what you're getting at, you could make it a way where the tags would cost more or be more selective, and you could more than make money than what these companies are offering you. But it would take more work, take more time.
Yeah, for sure.
And you'd have to listen to the actual people with their boots on the ground.
Obviously, we all know that's a big thing in government or politics is everything's slow moving, and if they've got a degree, they know more than the people that are out there doing it every day.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't know.
I was looking at some more of these numbers here. What do you think the biggest difference is between Nebraska and Iowa from both deer and coyote? So, as an example, with these coyote numbers, we were saying Nebraska was 11th or 12th in the country with 77,000 estimated. Iowa is estimating 12,000, and it puts them at like 40th. And it's right.
Wow.
That's right next
Yeah.
door.
You would
Yeah,
think they'd be
that's-
the same.
Way down. That's pretty surprising, honestly, because Iowa has, technically percentage-wise, I think they have less cover. It's more consolidated, but yeah, that's kind of weird.
What's the website you're looking at?
Worldpopulationreview.com.
Okay.
And then it shows state rankings, coyote population by state.
Weird.
But I also feel like I hear people having more success with deer in Iowa. Is
Yeah,
it
big
the
deer.
same for you?
Iowa's like the mecca of whitetail in the entire country.
So what's the what would you attribute that to?
The soil is big for genetics and antler growth, and then it's just always been known as a big deer state with their regulations. So there's been a lot of big name people and shows and stuff that have moved there and bought up big tracts of land that manage for it. But Iowa just does a lot better job of managing specifically for age structure, and not necessarily antler class, but age structure, because that's where you get antler sizes and age. And they're a lot better about that and way better about non-residents. I mean, we decreased the non-resident tags big time the last couple of years, and it's still 10,000 tags for non-residents and another, I don't even know, like got to be 50, 60 plus thousand tags for residents. And Iowa's got, I think there's units, so you can put in for a unit as a non-resident. Some of the units take 5 or 6 years to draw that tag. Some take 2 or 3. So they limit non-residents a lot more and put higher emphasis on the actual residents and landowners. And honestly, I think that's how every state should do it. And I'm not against non-resident hunters at all, because I enjoy doing that in other states too, but for fishing and hunting, because I would much rather wait 5 or 6 years to go hunt a state and have high odds of success on a great quality animal than be able to go every year and not be able to find something good.
Yeah, true. Well, isn't it more expensive too?
Yeah,
like
way
my
more.
sister hunts out there
Yep.
with her husband, and their tags are
Yeah, but
expensive.
they would be getting non-resident tags.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
non-resident tags are
but even
super expensive.
Isn't resident too? Isn't that more
I don't
expensive?
think their resident
don't know.
tags
Oh,
are
I thought-
much
okay.
different than Nebraska.
Okay.
Does Iowa have a higher population of people than us?
Yeah, I just looked that up. They
Probably
do.
with-
Yeah.
Oh, they
Yeah.
do.
Yep.
Oh,
It says
okay.
2.4 million versus 1.3 million.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot.
Oh no, that was
Yeah, because Iowa's got the Quad Cities, Sioux City.
1.9 million,
Moines.
almost 2 million in Nebraska, and then Iowa's got
Yeah,
almost another million. I think
Iowa
on top of that.
City, Davenport.
Yep.
Yeah, they got a higher population.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're at
Yeah.
3. There it is, 3.2.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely more people in Iowa.
Yeah, you always do hear the deer. There's a lot more deer over there.
The also they have like, and I only know this because her sister's husband, his family owns a bunch of land over there, and they manage a lot of it and do a lot of deer hunting, a lot of management with that, pheasant hunting, those kinds of things. So we hear about the different rules and stuff. But it was always interesting to me how the requirements they had on like rifles and calibers.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Their season's different, and what they can hunt with is different. And they have a shotgun season and a couple muzzleloader seasons, I think. And I mean, it's still a firearm. Like new muzzleloaders, you can shoot several hundred yards with those, but shotgun limits you to a pretty short range. And if you talk to people from Iowa, I mean, their shotgun season might be even crazier than Nebraska, because people are doing deer drives in the timber and just blasting everything. But they've got a higher population of deer, and I think it can sustain it more, because even though they have a higher population of people and hunters, they allow less non-residents, and the cover that they do have in the bigger areas of the state, it's a lot more cover in a small area, so it can hold a lot more deer. And they've got a lot of ag too, so it's like the perfect mix between ag and cover and good soil. So their reproduction rate on the deer is a lot higher than us, and they did get hammered this year with EHD too in several parts of the state, so they're probably going to make adjustments on that too. But yeah, age structure is huge for Iowa, and it's not even part of the equation for Nebraska.
You know, it's kind of like where South Dakota figured out a long time ago that pheasant hunting could be a huge tourism component for us. You know, it could be a huge moneymaker, bringing people in every season to chase, roosters around. In Iowa, I feel like figured that out with deer a long time ago. And it leaves people like you and I kind of frustrated, like, well, why can't Nebraska figure that out?
When you look at every state around us that has different regulations, and I mean, Nebraska still grows some great deer, but it's in pretty localized areas that are more similar to Kansas, with lower population of people and still good cover, or the eastern part of the state along the Missouri River or the other rivers that have a lot of timber and then ag butted up to them. Those areas are always going to hold more deer than open country like what we've got. So that's a big part of it too. But like, I don't know, it is really frustrating looking at the other states' regulations and the quality that they kill every year. And I don't know, I'd love to see us make changes to be modeled more like one of our other neighboring states. Like almost every single neighboring state we have has just as good a success rate. Like there's no reason we couldn't still have the same success rate but we could probably make more money and give everybody the opportunity at bigger deer.
We should have
better opportunities.
We
Yeah,
should have
better.
talked to old Pete about it when we were at One Box.
Oh yeah, yeah. You were talking his ear off. You were showing him the
Oh,
phones.
Rick
Yeah,
Ricketts,
Pete Ricketts.
yeah.
Yeah, the former governor. That
Yeah.
was fun.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
was. He was crazy.
What would you so like? You had mentioned some different changes or whatever. So like, what would be like maybe one or two things that you would change immediately that you think would help?
I would get rid of the late doe season while we have such a small herd number. But if the population we're at now is their goal, I don't really know what the answer is, because I mean, every year the Nebraska Bow Hunters Association and all these other groups have meetings with the Game and Parks and give them pretty much the same feedback we have every year, and just get shot down and say, no, we're doing it this way because this is how we like it. So I don't know. The first, if I were to do something for this next year, I'd eliminate this late season doe, help build the population back up. And I have a lot different standpoint on it than probably a lot of other people, because I hunt a lot more and it's what I live for. But I would rather, I'd be perfectly fine with going to a 1-buck state like Kansas per resident, where non-residents can still go, but it's for a higher price. Charge me double for my 1-buck tag. Charge me the same as I would have to pay for 2-buck tags. But even just that, in the first few years, would have such a big increase in age structure and antler class of the bucks that we do have.
So what you're saying is, per resident, you can only get one
buck,
tag.
yeah.
So how many can people get today?
$2 per resident or non-resident if you get in early enough.
Okay.
And I mean, we very rarely kill 2 bucks a year.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
we do, usually it's not off the same piece of property. But the statistics, I've argued with people with that same logic. 1-buck state, we'd have a lot more bucks and a lot bigger bucks running around. Everybody would be happier with that, because everyone wants. There's no hunter out there, even if you're just a meat hunter. If you get an opportunity at a buck, there is no one that wouldn't rather kill a bigger buck. So Kansas, people are way more selective with what they do shoot because they know they have 1 tag. And it's a tiny percentage of Nebraska residents that buy 2 tags that actually kill the 2 deer. But I've done it. My family's done it. We'll shoot a nice one with our first tag, then hold out for a big one with the second tag. Well, if you don't have that option, you're going to be a lot pickier with what you do shoot with your first tag.
I see.
Within 3 years, you're going to see so many more bigger bucks running around, and a better deer population in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that attitude. If it's brown, it's down.
Yeah.
And you feel that let's just shoot one to get one in camp.
Yeah,
And that attitude goes away if you only have 1 tag.
I've only ever bought one. So
yeah, were you saying, you mentioned Kansas, and I'm just looking at more of these numbers and trying to compare. Are you saying that their deer population is a lot better, and they have more
As far as deer numbers go, I don't know for sure. I think their population is probably still higher than us, but their age class and antler class perfectly correlates, but it's so much higher. It's a destination state that non-residents pay a lot of money to go hunt every several years, and I think we could do the same thing, make that same amount of money, and just be structured like that. Because if you look at every single state bordering us, with maybe the exception of Missouri has pretty much the exact same regulations for deer seasons as Nebraska, but they also have way more cover throughout the state, so their deer population is higher. But as far as what they can grow, age structure-wise, it's pretty similar. But, I mean, Kansas, Iowa, South Dakota, eastern Wyoming, eastern Colorado, all of those states, the deer the number of high-quality bucks you see coming from those states is way higher, and all of that's due to their regulations.
This population count on coyotes has Kansas as 4th in the nation,
I believe that.
with double what we have.
I believe that. Yeah, if you go to western Nebraska, you'll see way more coyotes than you see in eastern Nebraska. You get prairie dogs, rabbits, all the other forage out there. And, I mean, a coyote doesn't need any cover. They can lay down in 6-inch tall grass, and they're hidden.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I'm just trying to put together the correlation between the predators and the deer population, and because literally the last we've only been involved in deer hunting for the last few years. But prior to that, I always knew people who were, and I don't remember hearing the bitching that I've heard the last few years, even though we're more involved in it now. but just people over and over, like, saying they're not seeing anything. There just isn't anything out there. What the heck's going on in Nebraska?
Yeah.
Now, there's a heck of a lot more coyotes, and you can't argue that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot less deer, and you can't argue that. And it's not just in one place in Nebraska. You guys didn't see a lot of deer this year, did you?
No.
And we didn't. I mean, we got skunked on day 2.
We didn't see a single. I didn't
crazy.
hunt all week of rifle while they weren't up there, but I was out there. I didn't see a single shooter all year, and we kind of knew we were set up for probably the worst year we were ever going to have after last rifle season with how many bucks got killed in the area. But I mean, it was way worse than we expected.
So for you guys, you think it's more in that area, because you guys watch it so close, it's more just overhunting
around the area and predators, but like
the predators too.
The overhunting side of it, I think that depends on the year and the kind of weather you have during rifle season, because rifle season is always during rut.
Yeah.
So then it depends on the weather when you're going to see the deer. If you get good cold weather and the deer are moving, the success rate's going to be way higher. If you get a warm rut like we had this year, or even a warm opening weekend, people see way less deer. Or if it's too cold, hardly anybody goes out, and then you see less killed then too.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes on weather some. Like this year, I'm sure there was probably closer to 10 that we lost that we knew of, but that I know of, even with the one I killed, I think we only lost 4 or 5 bucks this year versus 31 or 32 in 2023,
Wow.
which was well over 75% of the bucks in the entire area, 5-mile radius.
But it was perfect weather. There was a cold front that blew in, blew out. Everything was moving. Then it was a nice opening morning. Our best success has been on those really cold days when we're the only ones out on the hillside. So there's a lot of factors that go into it for sure.
Yeah, way more than I can even think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that you kind of forget about after you've been doing it. But
we need to start shooting coyotes, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
and I do think there's more people with thermal scopes.
Yeah, I hear a lot of that lately.
As those become more affordable, I think there will be a lot more people that do it just because it's fun, even though the coyotes aren't worth much. So I think that will help down
And
the
it
road.
it brings you a lot more success, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
It makes it easier.
Thermal
flat
coyote
out.
hunting at night is 10 times better than, I mean, daytime. I like daytime calling better because it's more fun to actually be able to see the coyote rather than like when you're looking through a thermal, it almost feels like you're playing a video game.
Yeah.
But the success rate's so much higher because the coyotes are out at night. They're not near as cautious.
But you said those things are expensive.
Oh yeah,
Those
they are super
thermals.
expensive.
I mean-
They're getting more reasonable. Like a lot more people are getting thermals now because with the advancements of them, they're getting lower in
Cheap,
price. Just
okay.
like drones and stuff like that. The first ones were super expensive, and now you can buy a good quality drone for less than $1,000.
Yeah.
So I think as thermal scopes progress like that, I think it'll be pretty close to the same. And then you're seeing a lot more like local coyote tournaments popping up, so that'll be good too.
Well, if you could find that den,
Yeah,
I
guess.
feel like
don't
then
know
you
if
could
that's
just
what
plow them all at one time.
just go put some dynamite
You got a lot
in
of
there.
them. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that like they're beavers or anything, but hey, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Trap them.
Couldn't you
We
dynamite 'em?
definitely have. We've lived out or have been out here since about 90. So 35 years, whatever. Absolutely, there's more coyotes here right now than there ever has been.
100%.
And we just see them constantly, and we see them during the day.
Oh yeah,
They'll
Yeah,
come
if
out
any-
and they'll stand in the yard.
If anybody ever tells you that there's less coyotes now, they're not outside.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
have no clue.
There's a lot of them for sure.
Yeah.
We're about out of time, but one of the last things I wanted to ask you, just kind of in regards to like deer and just migrations and all the things that are going on with populations, how long do you think it'll be, or maybe it's already right now, before we're just straight up elk hunting around here?
I would say, I don't know, 10 to 15 plus years before there's like a real huntable population around here. But there is, as of this last year, the year before, there's units across the entire state.
That they're selling and people are hunting?
Yeah. And it takes a lot more cover for elk, obviously, because they're a lot bigger and they don't usually like urban areas near as much. I know there's one young bull living around Lincoln, like on the outskirts of town. And we had 2 years ago, we had a big bull on camera at Andy's ranch, but that's only 8 miles as the crow flies from the big Missouri River breaks. And there's a good population up there. That bull actually got killed the year later. So last year, 6 miles straight north of us, pretty damn good bull. But yeah, they're spreading east a lot farther.
Yeah.
There's one a couple years ago that was somebody had it on trail camera in central South Dakota, young bull with baling twine wrapped around its antlers, so it was super recognizable. That got hit on the interstate in northern Iowa like 3 weeks later.
They travel that far.
Usually the young bulls, yeah.
What I would think is so interesting about them is the people that I hear that go hunt them, you know, they're going to Wyoming or Colorado or whatever, and they talk about, you know, how these animals like go up into the mountains and then they start coming down when it's getting cold because like whatever they would eat is
down
is
to winter
freezing.
areas.
Yeah,
so
there's
there's too much snow up high, so they can't live.
they're coming down for food, and they kind of do that back and forth. And I always thought, like, okay, well, that's, you know, what that animal does. But then if they're coming into Nebraska, they're not doing that. Like, they're just hanging out like deer are.
Yeah, they're just expanding population, which I like. I mean, we've got back home pretty much 2 hours straight north of here up on the Missouri River Bluffs. We've got a really awesome young bull that Dad's getting pictures of. I guess he hasn't had it for like a week or so, but for over a month, we were getting him every day. But, yeah, I think it'd be sweet to see more elk in the state.
Yeah,
but
that would be cool.
And I wonder what kind of relationship they have with things like coyotes.
not near as much.
Yeah.
An elk calf is still a lot bigger than a coyote. They can still take them down, a pack of them for sure, but it's not near the issue as it is with deer because a deer fawn is tiny. I mean,
Yeah.
size of a small house dog, and they're pretty much, I mean, they can run pretty quick after the first few days, but not faster than a coyote.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be fun if we get to get into some of those.
Yeah.
If that ever happens,
10 or
I'll
15 years, man. We'll
I'll
still be
shooting.
hunting.
Yeah.
At the bare minimum, it could be a lot more than
All
that.
right,
Yeah.
we'll say 20, but that's fine.
Not on any kind of scale, but like you said,
Yeah.
they are already selling permits for it, which I wasn't
and
aware of.
we're still once in a lifetime state for resident only for
Okay.
elk. So, I mean, unless they change something with that, like if the population of them explodes across the state, then maybe they'll have more tags in the draw, but it's still pretty tough. I mean, I know people that have put in for 30 years and have never drawn their once in a lifetime tag. So I got hopes of it at some point, but
You put in for it every year?
Yeah. Just the last 3-4 years I'd put in, but
Gotcha.
I mean, some people draw it on their first year, so
Yep.
it's not like a point system really. It's just luck of the draw.
Just lottery. Huh.
Cool.
Cool.
Got anything else you want to cover today?
No,
No?
that was quite a bit.
Yeah, it was. Lots of stuff that we could cover more on, but we are out of time. Before we close out, let's chat a little bit about Barn Owl, barnowl.tech. If you go to that website, use the code FARMFOCUSED, you get 10% off. Somebody commented on one of our, on the YouTube video we did, where we did the unboxing and we were putting it together.
Yeah.
And they were saying, like, man, I'm really interested of these for my farm. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say, you know,
Yeah.
so it's pretty cool. And that's exactly what it's for, you know, for monitoring. You guys have one out at your place that Garrett is setting up that we haven't connected yet, but we're going to be using for more of like a game type cam setup, right?
See how it works. I need to get up there this coming week. I didn't make it up there this week trying to catch up on videos, but
yeah. And you've got a lot of experience with game cams and, you know, all the different features and functionality and stuff. So we'll be interested to hear what you have to say, and we'll definitely share that with the folks. We're using it here at our place as more surveillance. You know, we're watching people coming in and out. We're watching the cars. We're watching the roads.
You're seeing a lot of coyotes and deer, though.
We're seeing coyotes
We
on
are.
it. Yeah.
Random dogs.
For
He sent me one the other day. I was like, I wonder whose dog this is. I'm like, I have no idea.
they look really well built, so I'm excited to get that one out.
Yeah, for sure.
I wonder where you got. Do you know where you're going to put it?
Oh, I'll put it on a feeder for
Okay,
sure.
you're like ready for it. Yeah.
Cellular connected. You got a solar panel, so you don't have to go out and screw with them all the time. So that'll be cool to see how that works for you guys with that. The one we've got here, we've had up for, I don't know, a couple months now. And I look at the battery percentage every now and then. It's like 99% all the time. So it's apparently getting enough.
Nice.
Yeah,
enough
the solar
power.
panels make a huge difference. If you've got fully charged batteries in there and then hook the solar panel up to it, you probably never have to change it.
Yeah, it's a cool setup. So check them out if you're in the market, if you're looking for something that you want, like I said, some surveillance at your farm or ranch or property, or if you're looking for a game cam solution. So far so good with those guys. Anything else? No?
Good to go.
All right,
it.
man. Well, Garrett, thanks for coming, dude. Looking
Thanks
forward
for
to having
having
you
me.
back, and we'll go over
It's
something
nice to
else.
see
I don't know
you.
what. All right. Well,
All
let's
right.
close it out.
Peace.
We'll see you.
Later.